Ethan Caldwell didn't flinch. I swear that kind of silence says more than yelling ever could. She was screaming now, full voice, finger pointed like a weapon. Papers in her hand, eyes wide, loud enough for the neighbors. He sipped his coffee, steady, didn't blink, didn't speak. "You think this is your land?" she spat. The recorder on the side table blinked red. Once, no one saw it, not even her. He leaned against the doorframe, one foot inside, one outside, like he was weighing something. She thought she won. He just memorized every word. And that was her first mistake. He didn't buy the land. He inherited it, all of it. 3.5 acres, just enough for the workshop, the driveway, and the oak tree out back that still held rusted nails from his father's old tire swing. The deed was handwritten, signed in '79, tucked inside a leather folder with a nameplate that read Caldwell Holdings, Trust Number 2. Ethan never changed a word, because the man who signed it told him one thing, just once. Don't argue with noise, argue with law. And he remembered that. Every damn time someone came knocking. The HOA didn't exist when his dad built here. Back then, it was just gravel roads and good fences. Now it's bylaws, fines, and neighbors with clipboards. But the property line? Still the same. Still carved into county record, etched deep like tree roots. That's why Ethan never raised his voice. Not because he didn't care, but because he didn't need permission. The sign out front said it plain, private property, EST, 1951. A date most people ignored, a detail he never did. He watched them come and go, new rules, new faces. HOA reps with fresh lipstick and louder threats. But he never moved the sign, never repainted it, never polished it. That was the point. Because when people forget what came before them, they start mistaking silence for surrender. And Ethan Caldwell? He wasn't silent. He was just waiting. The first letter came folded, cream-colored envelope, no return address. Inside, notice of violation, clause 3.2, improper vehicle storage. Typed, double-spaced, signed with a perfect blue pen. Ethan read it, folded it, put it back on the counter. 2 days later, it was taped to his fence, clear sleeve, red stamp. Now the neighbors could read it too. 3 cars in the driveway, one his wife's, who worked double shifts at the county ER. One for their daughter, who just graduated. None on the street, none blocking traffic. All tagged, all registered. But that didn't matter. Clause 3.2 had no interest in context, only optics. The next notice came louder. Email, subject line in all caps. Community standards breach. CC'd to the entire HOA mailing list. One neighbor replied with a thumbs up. Another sent a gif of a broom. Ethan didn't answer. He just saved the thread and printed every response. The third strike was public. A clipboard and heels walked up his drive at 7:12 a.m. She didn't knock, just taped the violation to the front door, like it was eviction. Then turned and smiled at the Ring camera. He didn't step outside. He watched from the garage window, watched her heels leave dents in the gravel his father laid in, 85. Neighbors peeked, curtains moved, but no one came out. No one ever does. Not until they think it's safe. The emails kept coming, so did the fines, and every time she CC'd more names. He never deleted a single one, because she thought she was building a case. But Ethan Caldwell was building something else. And the difference? She wanted to win. He wanted her to forget who owned the board. You ever watch something unfold and it felt a little too familiar? I've stood right there before, quiet, knowing what's fair and watching it slip. If this story hit something in you, I'd like to hear your side. Stick around. We've got more like this coming. Ethan didn't reply, didn't email back, didn't show up to the HOA's second notice hearing, but he read every line. Stamped dates, read signatures, the wording at the bottom. He was building a case, quietly, precisely. He didn't need a lawyer, not yet. What he needed was their confidence, so he gave them silence, let them feel in control. That week, 3 new violation slips arrived, one taped crooked on his truck window, Another dropped in his mailbox, unsealed. The third, pinned to his front door. The ink bled slightly from rain, but the words were still clear. Violation, improper vehicle storage, clause 3.2. He folded it, stored it, just like the others. Then one morning, no neighbors around. He walked out front with a rag and a bottle of wood cleaner. Not many people had noticed the old plaque nailed near the porch steps. The wood had darkened. Moss covered most of it, but he remembered the engraving. His father made sure he'd never forget. He scrubbed slowly, line by line, until the letters came back. Sunboki lot, C, deeded exclusion, HOA exempt. He stepped back, tilted his head. It was still there, still legal, still binding. A voice cleared from across the street. Janice lived 3 doors down. She stood with her phone out, didn't wave, didn't smile, just one picture. Then she walked back inside. Ethan didn't say a word, just placed the cleaner back under the porch, closed the door. Inside, the red recorder light blinked. He hit stop, filed the audio. That was the first brick, not a punch, not a protest, just law, polished and placed where they forgot to look. The meeting wasn't supposed to be public, but the HOA streamed it anyway, to appear transparent. Only homeowners with logins could watch. They didn't think Ethan would show. He arrived 2 minutes late. No tie, no binder. Just that same leather folder his father left him. They gave him 3 minutes to speak. He only used 1. "I never signed into this HOA," he said calmly. "And this," he opened the folder, pulled out 1 page, "is the original plat map, filed and notarized before the HOA even existed." He held it up. The camera caught it. Parcel lines, handwritten notations, bottom left corner, lot, C, deeded exclusion. There was a pause, a subtle one. The chairwoman smiled stiffly. "That may have been true back then, Mr. Caldwell, but the current bylaws apply." "No," Ethan cut in, soft but sharp. "They apply to signatories. I'm not one." Then he turned slightly, enough for the camera to catch the crowd behind. Dozens of small squares on the live stream. One of them unmuted. "I remember that map," a voice said, old, male. "My grandfather sold that land to Ethan's dad. Said no one could ever tell him what to do with it." Silence. Longer this time. Ethan slid 1 more page across the table. A log of every email violation. Time-stamped. Names CC'd. Highlighted sections on misuse of HOA funds, conveniently buried under community beautification. He didn't accuse. He didn't need to. The weight of the silence shifted. People weren't looking at Ethan anymore. They were looking at her. She straightened her papers, laughed a little too loud. But her eyes darted. Left, then down, then nowhere. Ethan didn't sit back down. He just said, "You sent fines for a property you don't govern. And I've got 14 days of footage showing you knew that." No one clapped, but a few heads turned. One neighbor whispered something. Another closed their laptop. It wasn't noise. It wasn't a win. It was something worse. A shift. Permanent. And quiet. The room shifted. Someone cleared their throat, but no one spoke. The chairwoman reached for her laptop, but Ethan was already moving. He stepped forward, calm. Slid a stack of printed spreadsheets onto the table, labeled HOA, expenditures, 3 years. He tapped 1 line, then another. Same vendor, same amount, same last name as hers. The silence cracked. "Community improvement projects," she said quickly. "Landscaping mostly." "You paid your nephew's company," Ethan said flat. No bid, no oversight, twice a month for a job he never did. The screen behind them flickered. Someone on the live stream had shared their view. An email, dated last fall. From her. Subject line, "Let's fine him again. He won't fight back." The problem? She had CC'd the wrong Ethan, not the one she thought, but the legal rep for one of the LLCs. That owned half the block. People leaned forward now. Ethan reached in, pulled out 1 more file. 6 holding companies, he said, all registered under my father's trust. Together, they hold 67% of Maple Ridge. A murmur, audible now. "I didn't contest the HOA," Ethan continued. "I didn't have to. With majority ownership, I can dissolve it, tonight." The woman laughed once, loud, but no one followed. A man near the door stood up. "I move for a vote." Hands raised, quiet. One by one, Ethan didn't raise his. He just watched her. No rage, no speech, just that same look from the porch, measured and finished. The next morning, the driveway was quiet. No more yellow slips on the windshield, no more phone held from the shadows. Just sunlight. And the nurse's car, parked exactly where it used to be. Front wheels angled, coffee mug still on the dash. Ethan opened the gate with one hand. Rust groaned faintly. He didn't fix it. On the lawn, the old wooden sign had been cleaned, repainted, not perfectly centered, a few inches off. He didn't fix that either. He stood there a moment, coffee warm in his grip, same cup. The mailbox still leaned to one side, the path still cracked where his daughter's bike once skidded out. He didn't look for applause, didn't check the neighborhood app, didn't refresh the comments on the stream. At 8:17, a schoolboy passed by, tugged by his backpack. He slowed, looked at the metal plaque on the fence. Private property, established 1951. The boy didn't say anything, just nodded once, then walked on. From the house next door, a curtain shifted. A neighbor stood still behind it, not hiding, just quiet now. Inside, Ethan placed the files back in the drawer, stacked neatly, label facing out. He didn't lock it, didn't have to. Some things don't need guarding anymore. Outside, a breeze moved the flag on the porch, faded at the edges. Still there. He watched it once, then turned away. The house never needed to be defended, only remembered, and now, finally, left alone. An old fence never asks to be noticed, but when it's gone, something changes. Ethan never raised his voice, never chased anyone down, just kept what was his, the way his father taught him. Some people collect land, others guard silence. He inherited both, not out of pride, out of memory, out of what shouldn't be forgotten. The sign was crooked, the flag was frayed, but they stayed. Because some things speak loudest. When left untouched, she moved out. The wind stayed. No headlines, no banners, just stillness. Justice doesn't always knock on your door. Sometimes it sits quietly on your porch, waiting for the one who's sure they own everything, to realize they never really belonged. There are places built with paper, and places held together by history. The difference? One fades when challenged, the other stands, even in silence. So if they ask, why didn't he fight louder? Tell them this: not every war needs noise, only the ones we're not sure will win.